Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Sci-Fi. I am joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Chris Morningstar.
Hi, everybody.
Louisa Davis.
Heyo.
And remote, we have, let's see if we actually get this right. We have Mr. Lee Ferguson somewhere down here. We have Mr. Will Barton somewhere down here.
Howdy, everybody.
And for their first podcast appearance, Dina somewhere down here. Mm-hmm. Say hi, Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Dina. You did tell her to say hi. So.
I did say hi, Dina. That's fair. That's valid. All right, so tonight's episode, do we have any news to start with from anybody? Any ends? Anything wants to mention? Or can we go right into the episode? What do we think?
Do we have any?
I have no news.
I'm just going to mention that the Masters of the Universe movie is really fantastic and totally worth the little over 2 hours. And if you're watching or listening to this, definitely stay through the ending credits. Because there's something at the end. Bombshell.
Okay.
I'm not giving it away. You can Google it and see it, but don't. It's amazing.
Okay, word.
Fair.
Cool.
Yeah, I totally concur with that. Saw it already, and it was
I
fantastic.
feel like there was something I was going to say, and I don't even remember what it was now. So.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like
Buy my friend Broadus's book. I'll put it back on the screen again.
Yes. Book.
We'll put
up
the
here.
book. We'll put the book.
Book right here. I forget. I can point to where we can
point,
put links.
Yes,
and shit.
I can do that. Just please don't make it super difficult for me to edit in later. Okay.
It's the little things that entertain me with this. Okay, so tonight's episode is a very important episode.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Mm-hmm. We'll lead off with that.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
So tonight's episode, we are going to talk about the importance of representation for the LGBTQIA plus
Pretty much, yeah.
Community.
That's the general.
Yep. So the Alphabet Mafia. We're going to talk
As I
about
like
the
to say,
Alphabet Mafia.
the Alphabet Mafia.
Yes. So obviously, for those of us that are members of the community, it's insanely important. I know my upbringing as well for hanging out in the closet for as long as I did with my sexuality. It helped to see characters in the science fiction world, the world that I most gravitated towards, that were in that community, that were like me. So it helped to see that. It didn't make coming out any less nerve-wracking and scary, but it definitely helped seeing characters that were in the community in Star Trek and Star Wars. And
also helps you understand your identity
yes,
too.
Yeah, yep.
When you see it, yeah.
Yep. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to discuss kind of round robin, or however the discussion pans out, the different characters that we liked the representation of, and maybe different situations that represented the community in good light and in a good way. And for those of us that are in the community, how it impacted us. For those of us that are allies in this, how that impacted your views maybe, and how things kind of became more aware, or maybe you had a better understanding of things, a better understanding of the community through those representations. So let's start with round robin, and actually we're going to start off with Dina, because Dina, this is your first show, so give us an example of like a character or a scene, a situation, or whatever that represented the community well, and that you appreciated.
Okay, before I can tell you that answer, I need to give you a couple minutes of how I grew up.
By all means, absolutely.
I'm almost 67, so I was born in the before time. When I was a child, it was the 1960s. Could you imagine life without a remote control?
I've heard stories from my parents, yes.
Okay, all right. My very first taste of science fiction was I was 4.5 or 5, and I was sitting on the floor looking up at my black and white TV, because we didn't have color yet, and Fireball XL5 came on. The Jerry Anderson puppet show with Steve Zodiac and Venus. And I watched the rocket take off, and I was hooked on science fiction from that moment on.
Wow.
But even at that tender age, when I got the Fireball XL5's play set, I always wanted to be Venus. I never wanted to be Steve Zodiac. So, but then I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and there was no awareness, there was was no nothing. Nothing. The only trans I ever saw was on Maury Povich, and they made these women look like circus freaks. And I was horrified. I was horrified. At like 13, I was like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I am not a circus freak. So I hid myself so much for decades. I mean, deep down, you know? So I was unaware maybe, 60s, 70s, 80s. I wanted to come out in the 80s when I was in my 20s, but I didn't want to lose my family.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I didn't want to be a porn star or a prostitute. And that would be the only way to go if you came out.
Yeah.
Pretty much, or be in the underground. So I didn't. I think one of the most incredible experiences for me in science fiction in the very beginning was thanks to J. Michael Straczynski of Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, when Babylon 5 was over, he did a comic book of his own called Rising Stars. Has anybody heard of it?
I think I've heard of it, yes.
It was his own comic, and it was kind of short-lived. But you ever hear of the show Heroes?
Yeah.
About some years ago, about the guys. I swear they ripped off Rising Stars. In Rising Stars, a power comes down and hits this city of Chicago or something, and every pregnant woman, their kid gets born with some kind of power. And it's crazy, but one of the kids, right, was the son of a preacher, and his power was to control electricity and power and stuff, and it can make him fly, it can make him shine out like a star, and the preacher would use him in his sermons, right, like in front of the congregation. But then when the kid was alone in his bedroom, he would say, he doesn't know the true me or true power, and he would let it out, and he would become a woman.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God, it's a transgender superhero,
Yeah.
And in one of the issues later on, they launched a nuclear missile at Chicago, and the boy sees it. He's a young man, and he sees it, and he flies through the air to stop it. And everybody's looking up saying, who's that woman flying through the air? And he sacrifices himself, absorbs the nuclear explosion, and sacrifices herself to save Chicago. And I was like, wow, that is just a freaking amazing.
Yeah.
That was one of the earliest things for me that blew my mind. I was just,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I was already a Babylon 5 freak from day one.
Oh, yeah.
I still am.
Absolutely.
So when he did that, I was like, Straczynski is just too cool. So that's my start anyway.
Fair enough. Louisa?
So, to put it simply, I'm going to give a quick little synopsis of my identity because I'm kind of all over the place.
I feel like that we need the dictionary.
For time's sake, I'm gonna put what I identify as in the definition. But if I were to give myself a label, it would be panromantic, demisexual, and genderqueer. So I'm just very queer all around in terms of my sexuality and identity. To put it simply, but I don't know. For my upbringing, I was very lucky to have parents who were very progressive and were very loving in that fact. And I always knew I was safe to come out, but there's always still that fear in the back of your head of, oh God, that this still could make them look at me differently. I mean, there were some friends I never told. But I'm going to be completely honest. I did not really put together my identity and sexuality really until I was 20. I joked that the pandemic kind of forced me to actually do a lot of inner work, and that was one of the many things that came with it. But one of my first moments in sci-fi especially, where I was like, oh, whoa, okay, not only is that okay, but you're proud of it, cool, is there's actually a lot of queer representation in Doctor Who. So, sorry, Lee. But the The very first character I got introduced to Doctor Who when I was in middle school. In middle school, that's typically really about the age where I feel like you really start to question.
Yes.
So the very first character that I was like, oh, was Captain Jack. And it's so funny because when you see him, I'll put a picture of him on the screen for those of you who are not familiar with Doctor Who. When you first meet him, he seems like this very macho man. Like, I was convinced this man was straight. And then when he first said he was gay, you see him have, male romantic interests, I was like, oh.
I think I might actually know who this character is.
Oh, okay. Well, he's also part of the spin-off series Torchwood.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you probably,
okay.
Yeah. And it was just like that, oh, okay, not only are you out and proud about it, but, you don't give a shit. And I think that's more so what younger me needed to see was not so much the fact that he was proud about it, but he really was like, this is who I am, you don't like me, there's the door. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Because I really had a lot of shame and fear, and to see that was, there's the damn feedback again. I hate it here.
I heard a little bit of it too, but it's not bad.
It's not bad, no.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
I have a whole list that I wrote down of characters and moments that really stood out to me, but in terms of the very first one that stood out to me, it's got to go to Captain Jack from Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess that's my turn then, huh?
My turn. Your turn. What?
Somebody's turn. So yeah, I was probably in middle school when I started to put together that. At the time, it was defined as being bi-curious. Oh, yeah. That I knew I was enjoying playing both sides of the field. But the problem is that because I had considered it so taboo, most of my interactions with a guy were way under the radar, and I mean way under the radar, to the point where it was don't talk about it. You see the person in the hallway. It was like, hey, buddy, you don't see me, I don't see you. We're going to keep walking. So when I finally got to the point where I was comfortable coming out, and it wasn't that I knew that I wouldn't have the support. My friends wouldn't have had any issues with it. Family certainly wouldn't have had any issues with it. I mean, my aunt is gay and has a partner. My uncle is gay, and so I knew that within the family we had members of the community here, but I think my biggest fear was that I had only ever openly dated a woman. So if I were to suddenly change gears and go, well, I'm actually bisexual.
And then me, who's kind of woman.
Well,
kind of.
Yeah. But being a drag king is also an anomaly because I
would
do dirty things to anyway. So okay, so we're moving on. So it was that trick bag where I was like, well, Christ, if I come out as bisexual, then what the hell happens? Everybody's going to look at me like, yeah, bullshit. You're just, it's just a phase, or it's just this, or it's just that, because they would have never seen me with a man or anything. So it was nerve-wracking to try to position myself to say, okay, when am I going to be comfortable coming out? Because I can't continue to hide in the shadows with this, and I know I'm safe to come out. So I think that the best example I had of this was unfortunately probably one of the more controversial ones, and I'm going to hit this one right off the bat, was Sulu in Star Trek Beyond. Because I hadn't even come out publicly as bisexual before then. And Beyond came out, I think, in 2016. So yeah. I hadn't come out publicly with it yet. And at the time, for me anyway, he was the first character that I had really taken a hard note to. And the only reason I took a hard note to was because it was so controversial in the Star Trek world. Because Hikaru Sulu himself, we knew in prior stories, was not gay. But obviously we know George Takei is very gay, very openly supporting gay of the Alphabet Mafia. And he even spoke out against the fact that they made Sulu gay in this. So in Star Trek Beyond. So it was that controversy where people were like, well, I like it because it was an homage to George Takei himself, and why not honor the character in this reimagined series or something along those lines. So it made some sense to me, because then it started to resonate like, well, why couldn't I come out in in my own universe and in my own way because I feel safe. I feel okay. I can do this. I'm not going to be, plastered against the wall like, well, fuck you, you're going through a phase type of thing. So that resonated specifically just from that controversial standpoint, because to me it was my own internal controversy that I was wrestling with, because up to that point, again, I'd only ever been with a woman. So it became that question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh.
They're
Well,
coming
and
for you.
to be fair on your behalf, a lot of that's. Oh no! Something really bad happened outside.
They really are coming.
We don't have soundproof walls yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. But in your defense, and this can even go for not even. It can also go for the pan community and all that as well. That isn't often. What's the word I'm looking for? That is a often criticism that you get. It's like, oh, you're just greedy, or it's just a phase. That is a common thing with the bisexual and pan community, especially. So that's I can't tell you how many other people who I know who are bi or pan, and that was on top of coming out, that was another fear-based thing that they were afraid they were going to deal with.
Yes. Yep. So let's pivot and let's hit with our evident allies. So let's go with Mr. Lee Ferguson first.
Well, I grew up as a kid, so I'm half Caucasian.
A lot of us did.
Very good, Dina.
I don't know. I started old.
A lot of us grew up as kids. So as a half Caucasian, half Asian kid in my elementary school, Edgewood, Maryland, I didn't get looked upon very well. So discrimination was at the forefront of my elementary school years. So faced a lot of it, pretty harsh, pretty brutal, beatings, the mental aspect of you're the rice eater and the chink boy, and nobody really saw the Caucasian side of me. It was all the Korean side. So just a lot of nonsense going on. So I kind of went inside like a shell. Like I kind of tried to keep to myself, although I had a few friends, kind of kept to myself. And so I didn't have a great time in elementary school as a child, but as time went on, the beating stopped because I got a nice thing from my father, who said, I need you to defend yourself because you keep coming home getting hit. And we had talked about this many times on the show. I had taken karate, but I didn't ever use it, and never, because my father said, if you hit somebody, if I ever hear that you touch somebody, you're gonna get the business from me. So I didn't, but then he gave me the go ahead. So my world turned around, but I kept with me always the feeling of not being on the same playing field. I don't have the same right, or I don't feel like I'm in the normal, because in my school it was predominantly white, and there were African American students there too, but it was predominantly white and African American. There was like two of us, one full Korean and me the half. So I definitely got clowned on, but good life lessons to me were that when I finally broke out and I started talking to more people that were a little bit different, different ethnic backgrounds, I felt more like, I guess you used the word ally. I felt like I have allies. I finally found people that don't look down on me or different, because they're different. Mm-hmm. If you're not the normal. So if you're not this prototypical white student, anything but that, then you're different, and you're looked upon different. You're treated different. So we started hanging around, and you can just call it a big collection of nerds, because we loved science fiction stuff. We loved reading. We loved models, believe it or not, back in the day, of aircraft carriers and playing with the little planes on the runway and all kinds of fun stuff, So I found my tribe in about fifth grade. So that kind of carried through with me. But I want to tell you, up to this day, I've been discriminated against my entire life. Funny little side comments and sarcastic jokes about the slanted eyes. I'm 55 years old. I still hear those things.
Yeah.
So people think it's funny. Although people think it's funny, deep inside, I revert right back to that, 7-8-year-old child, and I immediately feel that again.
Mm-hmm.
And
it sucks.
And that carries with me. But really, the point is that I don't feel the discrimination that the LGBTQ plus community has for decades, but I do know discrimination, and I know how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you just feel like you're not a part of any. You're never going to be a part of a clique, and you're never going to be, normal, as they say. So
Right.
because of that, I'm a staunch ally of anybody that feels like they get belittled, that they're not enough, because it takes a lot away from you. It takes your confidence, your self-esteem. It takes your self-worth. It takes everything that you really need in life to be successful, and it just takes it and throws it right down, down a drain, and it's hard to get that back.
Yeah.
It's tough. So, my story really is that, and just, meeting people through the years, and, I'm a huge ally of anybody that is different. And it's LGBTQ plus, it's different ethnic backgrounds, it's the people that are freaking have horrendous deformities. I don't care how you look. All I care about is just you're a decent human being. That's
Yeah.
all I care.
Yeah.
And that's all that should matter.
Exactly.
That's really all it should. And so when I meet anybody new, I just take everybody at face value, and I hope that they are a decent human being.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Because there are a lot of evil people that are other ethnic backgrounds in LGBTQ also. There are evil people out there.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them. And
Hate doesn't discriminate.
And they can be diverse too. So,
Hate does not discriminate.
that's my story of discrimination and what I felt. And I know it is parallel, but it's close.
It sounds.
He didn't even talk about his character.
Discrimination. It's as strong as anybody else's.
Yes, my
It's close.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of characters and stuff and references in Sci-Fi, but we can get into that a little bit later. We can just continue to go round.
Well, then let's hit Willie B.
So the audience will hopefully forgive me. I wasn't originally supposed to be on the show. I had a scheduling conflict. What I'm about to say, I had written down with the intent to record, and it was going to be put into the show later. So if it sounds like what I'm doing is reading, it's because I am. Because I find
Cue teleprompter.
That's this serious. I think sometimes putting your thoughts down on paper is a really good tactic for articulating what you're going to say. So science fiction has always been a mirror to our future, but more importantly, it's a compass for our present. In Star Trek, this idea is beautifully grounded in the Vulcan philosophy of Edic, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Edic reminds us that the universe is at its most beautiful and its most powerful when it is not uniform. This is exactly why LGBTQ representation in sci-fi is so vital. It isn't about checking a box. It is the literal fulfillment of the Edic principle. When we include queer stories, queer joy, and queer heroes in our visions of tomorrow, we are imagining a world where humanity has finally learned to celebrate everything that makes us different. But building that future isn't a journey that the LGBTQ plus community can take alone. This is where straight allies become a critical part of the equation. Look no further than Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Picard is the ultimate ally because his leadership isn't about simply exploring space. It's about defending the moral architecture of the universe. When he famously argued for the synthetic life form data or protected individual rights against corrupt Starfleet admirals, he proved that a true leader uses their institutional privilege to shield the vulnerable. Picard taught us that true justice requires active intellectual advocacy, and that you must dismantle the legal and social framework of prejudice before it's able to take root. We see that same moral clarity in Captain Christopher Pike on Strange New Worlds. Pike represents a different, deeply compassionate kind of allyship. He's a servant leader who cooks for his crew, actively listens, and operates on the philosophy that's the best idea regardless of who or where it comes from. When Pike looks at his crew, he doesn't just see a military hierarchy, he sees a family whose unique differences make the ship stronger. His empathy is his greatest superpower. He reminds us that the future is built through listening, human connection, and creating spaces where every person feels safe enough to bring their authentic self to the bridge. And And we see this same relentless demand for justice in other corners of the sci-fi universe as well. Think of Commander William Adama from the Battlestar Galactica. Adama is a leader who understands that the moment you strip away the rights of one group to secure the safety of the rest, you have already lost your humanity. In a universe facing extinction, Adama knew that a society is only worth saving if it protects the fundamental freedoms of all of its people. Like Picard and Pike, he would actively set action stations and fight for marginalized communities today because he understood that compromising on basic human rights is the first step toward darkness. And if Picard, Pike, and Adama represent the institutional allies fighting to clear the path, characters like Beckett Mariner represent the beautiful, chaotic reality of what happens when we allow people to finally simply be free to justice. Mariner is openly, loudly, and unapologetically queer, but her sexuality refuses to be put in a neat little 21st century box. As she famously puts it, she dates bad boys, bad girls, bad gender non-binary babes, ruthless alien masterminds, and bad binaries. Mariner's character is a triumph because she isn't defined by a single label. Her attraction is as vast, fluid, and unpredictable as the galaxy itself. And she shows us where you don't need to have a classification to be understood, where identity is expansive, personal, and default. Ultimately, the future we see on screen depends entirely on today. If sci-fi future is we must actively choose to be open-minded, educated, and deeply accepting. We have to learn about experiences outside of our own and stand up for each other. And if our sci-fi futures don't include everyone, then we aren't actually looking forward. We're just recycling the biases of today. But by embracing the concept of eating together, we can ensure that tomorrow is a place where everyone belongs.
Yep.
And I want to kind of close this whole thing by quoting from somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with science fiction at all. When I was a kid, I used to watch Mr. Rogers regularly.
Yes.
One of the songs that he would sing is "It's You I Like."
Yes.
It's not the clothes you wear. It's not the ribbons in your hair. It's you I like.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Well stated, Will.
Yeah. Chris, I'm sorry you had to follow after that, because that was a hell of a statement.
Yeah.
But you're following after it, sir.
Charlie, we're on the congressional floor and somebody's delivering a
Keep your
speech.
phone close to you. Because last time when the phone was close,
That's the speech that needs to be read on the congressional floor.
Yeah, so I like it.
Thank you.
Oh, Matt.
That was excellent.
Christopher!
Wow. Okay.
Just like, I have to
No
follow
pressure.
that.
So thank you, Will.
That's it. That's the statement.
Yeah, thank you.
Should have just recorded it and sat out, I guess.
No, God, no.
No.
I too also am an ally
Ally.
in words.
Oh
No,
my
no.
God.
It's so difficult to follow up after that. Okay, so as an ally, I'm an ally of. I feel I'm an ally of any group that is subjugated or belittled or made to feel less than themselves. Within my life, I've been a correctional officer for over 24 years. I've worked with populations of every race, creed, color, intelligence that are out there. I've seen the good in everyone. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you claim to be, what you identify as. There's good and bad in all of us. But to belittle people based on something that they identify for is a horrible thing. I have friends within the community, some are children, trans children, who know that they were different from an early age and have to hide who they are or feel they have to hide who they are to protect themselves, and it's a horrible thing. Their mental health is it's just a horrible thing. To not be able to be who you are inside is a horrible thing. And as Will so eloquently put so many of his wonderful points, but IDIC is one that I was going to touch on as well. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. There is room for everyone on this world. Star Trek has shown that so much from the beginning. If people were to realize this, like truly realize this, and open their hearts to it, the world would be such a better place for everyone. I'm going through a bit of a relationship change as well, and my girlfriend is pansexual. So there's a little bit of representation that I'm an ally for in a very real, very current way as well. But yeah, as I kind of look to Captain America for some of my beliefs. I don't like bullies. And I don't like anyone who makes anyone else feel smaller than they are.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there for those people if I hear it, if I witness it. Like, that's kind of my job. That's who I am. As far as characters go, just to touch on two really quick, the Hikaru Sulu thing was a real big thing that I thought was done incredibly well in what's the third Star Trek?
Star Trek Beyond.
Star Trek Beyond. Sorry. You know, those Star Trek movies that are, you know, not really prime timeline.
No.
But that scene, like,
That's a different podcast.
yeah. From what I had understood from listening to George Takei, is very early on, he had actually wanted to pitch that Hikaru Sulu was gay and was shut down.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was shut down. They didn't want that on the show at the time. And a show that portrays infinite diversity, you know.
Yeah.
But it finally came around.
It's still television.
Yeah. It's still television, and there's still things to do to keep it on the air.
These decisions are not made by the creators, believe me.
Yeah.
You're right.
But the way that they did it in Star Trek Beyond, it was subtle, and it was done in such a way as to make it appear completely normal.
Yeah.
There was no bells and whistles to it. There was no great fanfare. It was just a simple holding hands scene, you know.
Right.
But I felt like, from an ally perspective, watching that scene, it felt completely normalized to me. Like, I didn't even bat an eyelash at it. I was like, oh, cool, you know, that's great. Like, I thought it was done so well. Like, everybody now needs to be able to stand up for themselves and wave their flags.
We'll play with the mama,
so to speak. But there should come a time when no one bats an eye.
Yes.
And I think that is the whole purpose of that scene.
Yep.
It is shown that no one needs to bat an eye because we have a future where it's all normal.
Right,
and that's
back,
what
guys.
normal truly is.
She's got a little ball and it looks like she's eating it.
One of the other characters that I really love, and I'm going to take this non-Star Trek for a minute. Let's go DC universe.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. In the CW TV series, Supergirl and The Flash, there was actually a character. Just from my notes here, I'm going to pull this over here. There was the actual first trans superhero was in Supergirl and The Flash. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
And her,
okay.
Their name was Dreamer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the character's name was Nia Nall, played by, and I'm checking this to make sure I get it right, Nicole Maines. And Dreamer openly came out as a trans character within the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely certain if the actress/actor is or isn't.
That's what I'm checking.
Yeah, their name is Nicole Maines. But Nia Nall, she was widely celebrated as TV's first transgender superhero. She was a Naltorian human hybrid who possesses powers like precognition, astral projection, and energy projection.
Wow.
Which goes along with the Dreamer name. Like, she would actually help them.
She's trans.
Okay, great. Yeah. And, so I'm going to say there, I guess, in this particular case, because I'm not sure.
Her.
Their powers, along with that, was a lot of the precognition to see what was going to happen in the future to help the other heroes kind of navigate their path through the show. But I thought it was incredibly well done. The character was very well done.
So one of the other characters that I really appreciated on under the similar vein of it being just normal. So if we've all seen, and I need to show you Strange New Worlds or more of it, Erica Ortegas. She is very obviously, at least to the community, very obviously one of the most queer-coded characters in a Star Trek series currently, but nobody ever points to which her label is. And I really like the fact that they took that approach this time because, like you were saying in with Sulu and Beyond, is that it simply doesn't matter. Like, Ortegas is a hell of a fucking pilot, and she rocks the hell out of the job. She does it well. She's got the respect and the admiration of her people, her team, her captain, her sexuality, what happens elsewhere, except for on that bridge, doesn't matter to anybody else. They love her for her. And one of the nice things that I like that they incorporate in Strange New Worlds specifically is that the crew is a family. Nobody, it's not even a question. It doesn't come up. It's not this big thing. You know, and like we were saying, it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. And the fact that they just, it just cruises along and it is just the way it is amazing. Non-Star Trek, let's look at the Orville.
Oh my God,
I mean, the fucking Orville, the Mocklin stories, especially, you know, the Mocklins are a sane, and this, I like the approach they took with this because it spins it a little bit differently. It puts another type of mirror up to identity and being who you want to be, because the Mocklins are a same-sex species, all male. There are females that are born, and the Mocklins try to hide this. And Bortus, one of the main characters,
Bortus and what was the other one?
Clyden,
yeah.
So Bortus and Clyden have a child. The child is born female. She undergoes the corrective surgery.
Not only do they hide females, but they make them change.
They make them. Yeah, they go through. They have
to go through gender surgery.
Gender reassignment surgery.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Topa goes through the surgery.
God, Topa.
And fast forward to the third season, which arguably is the single best season that show has had.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The third season sees Topa going through the realization that they feel that there is a part of them that is broken, that is missing, and it's killing them. So one of the episodes is Kelly and Bortus point Topa in the right direction to find out that you were born a female. Mm-hmm. And Topa, who is now a male, wants to go back to being female because that's what she feels the most comfortable with. Mm-hmm. That entire episode, if you don't watch that episode not cry...
Oh, I bawled my eyes out.
You don't have a soul, because that literally points the picture in the best way.
Can I point something out?
That was difficult to watch.
It was. Time. And what I will say,
difficult to watch.
With that episode, that not only did that episode do such a great job with trans representation, but it did such a great job at showing for allies what to do. Mm-hmm. Not what Clyden did. What Clyden did was fucked. But Bortus and Kelly, that is exactly how you should respond, with nothing but love and grace and patience, and they were just
the entire scene too.
Yes,
where Bortus is crying, and as a father it hits harder.
Yes,
as a father it hits harder now because he's sitting there and he's crying. He's like, I want to help, I don't know how, and just that.
That being the only time we see him cry in the series. Yes.
That's.
I think one of the things that we tend to forget that it's very easy to do is, like, you know, Clyden was most definitely an asshole, but Clyden was a perfect example of someone who was victimized by the structure of our government. He himself had been born female, had been forced to transition, and was obviously traumatized by decades of growing up being told what you had to be. To the point where he was ready to vilify his own daughter.
Yeah. And how much of that was him projecting.
So destroyed by what the culture has done to him.
Yeah,
it was a very societal
story for Clyde to get down with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but that...
I like, you know, I've been binging, like, crushing Discovery left and right. Just binging the hell out of Discovery. So, there's a relationship there that... Somebody hit on it earlier, that seemed natural. Like when you when you watch the relationship on TV, it just seems so natural. You didn't even give it a second thought. And Lieutenant Commander Paul Stamets and Dr. Hugh Culber.
Yes.
First of all, I love Dr. Hugh. I love that guy.
Dr. Culber is awesome.
Yeah, man. You ain't kidding.
But that relationship between the two of them was so natural that it seemed right.
Yes.
It just seemed like this is what should be on this show. And has everybody watched all seasons of Discovery yet, or did they just give up after one or whatever?
No,
we watched it.
I haven't.
Because a lot of people did. Anyway, I really like the show, and I know it gets its fair share of criticism, but I'm just starting season 2, and I'm just in love with this relationship between these two, and a mad fan of Dr. Culber for sure. But these two they have energy, like it's on screen energy, and you feel it, and it just seems so right that I really, they did a great job with those two, the casting,
absolutely,
and the way that they,
very beginning.
yeah, 100%.
Well, one of the
brushing of the teeth scene in the bathroom.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was great.
Can't get better than that.
Same discussion.
Can't get better than that.
Yes.
Times,
Well, and that's one of the cool things that I appreciate that they did specifically with that. So, and so there are two other members of the community in the chat, let's say. So, one of the things that I don't like seeing is when they overdo for representation, right? When I first saw Discovery and saw Anthony Rapp and Wilson Cruz in that show, and they were married, very clearly a couple. It wasn't an in-your-face element of representation. No. It was like an everyday, hey, we're just here with them in the moment. It wasn't this in-your-face, announcement that
we have gay representation here.
Right. It wasn't that, which was so nice to see, because how often does that happen? And that so on the opposite end of representation being great and good, and by all means show it, overdoing it for the sake of doing it.
Well, then it also just feels like you're checking off the box.
Yes.
See, we had it. Here it is.
Well, and and I'm sorry, but in my opinion, Starfleet Academy overdid it.
A little bit, but
whole Klingon thing. I don't care. You want to have a gay Klingon, fine. Mm-hmm. His choice of wardrobe was atrocious. Okay. I know it sounds funny, but I think that choice of wardrobe actually worked against the whole message in terms of non-allies and it just rang wrong.
And you like Jaden, right?
I love Jaden. Okay. Yeah.
I just thought if you're gonna wear a skirt, or if you're gonna be trans, do it well. And I just thought he was just like, I didn't dig it. I thought it was just too in your face too.
Dina, I totally agree with you, 100%.
Fair.
It never hit right with me.
I may be completely wrong, but I know the actor who played Jaden kind of joked about it on because Jaden was the actor. I feel bad, I forget his name, but the actor who played Jaden was very interactive with the Starfleet Academy fan base. Mm-hmm. I will give him that. He was doing like Instagram stories and he was very interactive with the fans, and he joked about how wearing the skirt was a bit to piss off like the people, like those trolls who were like, oh, this is too woke and blah 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 blah, and he was leaning into that joke of, yeah, I wanted to piss him off. So on that front, I'm like, hell yeah. but I mean,
I can absolutely see that point.
Right. And I think, I don't know how intentional that was, but I mean, now that he's joked about it, a part of me is like, all right, maybe that was
was a little too much.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, look, Star Trek has seen the skirt era in TNG. I mean, it's glaring where a couple of characters in the earlier seasons, which kind of weird because you never see it come back up hardly ever.
Right. They touched on it in the motion picture.
Yes.
And in the first season of Next Generation, guys in skirts.
It never came up again.
So it didn't become part of the Star Trek lexicon.
Right.
Which is, I will say what's weird is I didn't think much of it. I was just like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you're wearing a skirt.
Well, but see, and that's the again the other point is that, you know, what I think, and I hate that we keep going back to Star Trek, but I guess it is probably the most well vetted of all the representation in sci-fi. As far
they
as
did the best job in science fiction.
Yeah.
Doctor Who's like right there with it too.
Well, and I'm an infant in Doctor Who, so we're getting there.
Okay, yeah, you're getting there.
You know, but you had different takes in such as far as different members of the community having different things as far as, like, you know, the representation for trans or gay or even lesbians. You know, you had it touched on every aspect of the LGBTQ community, but it did so in a way that was just natural. And Will and I have had this conversation before where it should just be natural now.
Yeah.
Like, it should, it's 26. Like, it should be natural now. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why, you know, to get butthurt seeing two people walking down the road, as long as they're consenting adults, it's fine. But what Star Trek does is that it plays that to where, as Star Trek fans, and we are all Star Trek fans here, it doesn't even register in my brain when I see, like, a gay couple or a bisexual character even talking about it. Like, it doesn't even register. Like, they're just there doing their job. We just watched so Real World. We just watched the National Geographic special on Sally Ride.
Oh, yes.
And one of the first things that I brought up was that I appreciated that even after it came out that she had a life partner of 27 years, that she was still the first woman in space. Mm-hmm. It never once pivoted to she was the first lesbian in space or she was the first, you know, gay woman in space.
They acknowledged that she was. But that's
But it stayed as she was the first woman because the fact that she was gay should not have mattered. And I appreciated that. So I appreciate that Star Trek does that in a way where, you know, you look at these characters that are part of the community and it's such a non-issue that it's not glossed over, but it's also not, like, laser focus on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that we're living in a world right now where a lot, and I don't want to say the majority because I don't think it's a majority thing yet, but I think a significant portion of the world's population is accepting of it and sees it for what it is. It's just people being people. Unfortunately, the loudest voices are also the minority.
Yes.
You know, the people who want to be the most vocal about how awful something is or how unacceptable something is are usually the minority, and they're usually the very loud and vocal minority, and they usually have a very, you know, weird ability to latch on to power and direct a certain narrative. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, Will. I think as human beings from the dawn of time, we all still possess, you know, an evolutionary predisposition to be, I will breed, we shall have more, and this is how we do it, and this is just the way it is, and this is our tribe, and that's somebody else's tribe, and you will war with them, and, you know, all this Neanderthal type of feeling. It's bred into us, and realistically, until we literally breed it out of everybody by introducing all the different backgrounds and ethnicities into our bloodstreams, so everything's washed out and there's no true, my roots go back all the way, born in Ireland and I'm Irish, until everything is bred out of us where we're just a mix of diversity and different blood, then maybe, just maybe, we can see that light, you know.
That's an interesting point.
That drive anymore.
We've had this problem in modern societies for so long because, again, we have a very vocal minority who want to direct a narrative. And we tend to forget, like, the historical significance of things like, you know, third gender. In Africa, they have the Chibatos. You know, third gender shamans. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they have the Mangiko. Mm-hmm. The Indians have the Hijra. The concept of a third gender has been around for as long as human existence.
Even in Native American culture, they have. It's everywhere.
We only now start to see these things because educated people want to be educated and they want to, learn. And for a very, very long time, again, that very vocal minority was directing how things should be seen, be viewed, be looked at, and so on and so forth. And I mean, Chris and I both did time in the Navy. I mean, we both saw people who were, gay or some form of the LGBTQ community. And I think I can speak for Chris, and he won't have a problem that we only gave a shit about, can you do your damn job?
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Somebody's sexual orientation may have been known, but one, in a tight-knit service like the Navy, you don't stand a chance of surviving very long if you're a bigot. And two, and probably more importantly, the mission was the focus.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wasn't who you slept with or anything like that. And I mean, I think there's a part of that is finally starting to get into our mainstream society, where we are just like, if you're happy, be happy.
Yeah.
If you found love, nurture it.
Right.
And if you have the ability to live a good and peaceful and fruitful life, who you find sexually attractive or who you love should have absolutely no bearing on what somebody else thinks.
Right.
Absolutely.
Another example of it was just casual, it was no emphasis, was in Pixar's Lightyear, which for those of you who haven't seen, Lightyear is essentially introduced as the movie Andy saw, and that's what started the obsession with Buzz Lightyear. So Pixar did the movie Lightyear, and there was this character, Captain Hawthorne. She was maybe in the movie for no more than, 5-10 minutes?
I would say the first 15
minutes. She
was
Buzz's partner in what they did, and Hawthorne was lesbian. And every time, she came to the screen with her partner, with her family, it was this very quick, natural, of oh, how's your wife doing? Oh, she's great. It was very casual, very well done. And it was just not in your face about it. It was just this is normal. This is, and that was beautifully done. And I wish more people not even people, I wish more, I guess, production companies or writer, I'm not really sure, or even directors, I wish more people understood when it comes to representation, it really does not have to be this, here we have it in your face thing. Just have it like it is. It is.
Do it responsibly.
Right, do it responsibly.
Or don't do it at all.
Right, and
I remember before, in the before time, there was none of this really existed, representation. And a very significant scene to me was in Deep Space Nine.
I think I know where you're going.
Dax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dax kisses an alien woman. And the premise of it, the way Star Trek got away with stuff like that, like when Kirk kissed Uhura, was because it was science fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was Dax, quote unquote, kissing an alien. But what you saw on screen was two beautiful women kissing.
Right.
And that was so significant to me. I was like, that is cool. Because up until that point, I didn't see much of that.
So
that was the first same-sex kiss in franchise history.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, it was.
That was called Rejoined. It was the DS9 1995 episode.
I think what's significant too is Deep Space Nine gave us that. It's been a meme for decades now with Core and Jesse.
I was just getting ready to go on to that. Yes.
Core gives, Dax this hug. Curzon, my old friend. And
right.
I'm Jadzia now. And he kind of holds her away at shoulder length. He's like, Jadzia, my old friend.
Yes.
Right.
There was
Sarah and I just watched that episode. We just watched that episode very recently again. And it was just so great. The way Core was like, he couldn't give a shit.
Yeah. When people were complaining about a gay
you're one of us, you're a warrior, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, when people were complaining about a gay Klingon in Academy, I was like, we crossed this bridge.
We've been here. What are you complaining about?
Yeah. Been here, done that. We're done. Yeah. Well, so
the point that Dina made about the skirt and Jaden in that skirt that you didn't care for, I actually agree with you too. I thought that absolutely the wardrobe felt forced to me. That was forced.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But the relationship between Jaden and Kyle, that did not feel forced. In fact, that seemed to take a little bit of a back story, almost kind of it was almost out of the main frame of it, but you knew they were a couple.
What's his name?
That did not seem forced. It seemed
the other brief love interest with Jada. What was
and real. But you're, Dina, correct. The wardrobe, honey, wow, that was pretty out there. Like, I thought they could have done a better job with that, for sure.
Oh, I loved it.
Girlfriend, get together with me and I'll show you how to dress.
Oh, boy.
Star Trek uniform with style.
Yeah. It was all great. It was very monotone. It looked like Hermione Granger meets Blade Runner. You know what I mean?
Well, and I will say this.
Another area of that was not forced, when I think about it, like, is the relationship between Jet Reno and Laura Thok.
Yes.
That was wonderful.
Yes.
That whole dinner scene where she's like, do you not respect dinner?
Do you not respect dinner?
There was nothing forced about it at all. It was a natural interaction about, you screwed up dinner and now I have to work late, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I will say this.
Reno has been my gal from day one in Discovery, man. Yeah. She is dynamite.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this, a very similar thing happened with one of the, well, he's not really the Doctor anymore because it's announced that Billy Piper, but now Doctor Who's on the whole thing. But regardless, the most recent Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa, in his first episode, he wore a kilt. And it's like people forgot that some people forgot that kilts were a thing. And they were like losing them, like, oh my God, he's wearing a skirt. It's like, no, he's wearing a kilt. Yes, he's the first black and gay actor to play the Doctor, but he's wearing a kilt. Calm down, eh? The two different things. But I just same thing. Like it just.
Oh! I forgot to bring something up.
What?
Fuck. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. That was all I was gonna say.
Sorry, no, because I thought I derailed your train of thought. So,
no, you're good. That was
fucking Mass Effect, man.
Oh.
For anybody that has played Mass Effect, talk about fucking representation and choice representation, okay? This is a video game where you could literally play through the game and you could choose to romance practically anyone in the game.
Shit, okay.
Anyone in the game. You could, as Commander Shepard, you could even make Shepard a woman. You could make him a man. But as male or female, it didn't matter. You could romance an alien. You could romance another man. You could romance... It didn't matter. You could... So the representation in this game, depending on what direction you went in, was masterfully done because it was all character controlled. But it was also done in a manner that was romantic, but it wasn't like that over-the-top romance. It was that more passive, genuine romance with a storyline, not just romance for romance sake.
Right.
But that was probably, as far as a video game, like one of the few and one of the better earlier memories I have of a video game showing the potential for a queer relationship. Mm-hmm. Which
there are some RPG games that allow that and have that in their program where they wrote it in. Like Mass Effect's definitely one. There's Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate 3, which I love Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I haven't played 3 yet, but Cyberpunk 2077, Pathfinder. I mean, there's games out now where they have that. It's inclusive, and it's really kind of cool to see that, in a video game age. Now that everything's online and it's a huge online community of gamers. That's kind of cool to see that it's made its way into the gaming community. And now maybe it's just me, but I'm feeling like that kid that sits in their room all alone because they don't feel like they can reach out and be themselves, but now they see other people online and that's the only time they ever socialize and it's okay and it's accepted.
Yep.
Yes.
I hope that helps that young child feel like, wow, okay, this is cool. Maybe I can actually go outside now and talk to somebody and not feel like I want to kill myself or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, let's not forget Fallout is one of those games as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Fallout 4 specifically. I'm not sure about Fallout 3, but Fallout 4 definitely has those character options as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's really to wrap up the episode is.
Oh, I had many more characters. Yeah, I thought we were talking about doing a break.
Oh, well, I mean, we could do a break.
Let's do a break.
I have so many more characters.
Okay, we'll take a break. So we will be back after these non-existent messages.
Hey friends, Padre here. I'm actually on vacation as this episode of Talking Sci-Fi is recording. But I wanted to take a moment and just share a few brief thoughts on inclusion in science fiction in general, and in particular, some of my favorite franchises, particularly Star Trek and Babylon 5. Sci-fi is at its pinnacle when it gives us an opportunity to explore things that might otherwise fall outside of our comfort zone. Ever since I discovered Star Trek in the mid-1980s, the series has been a touchstone of allowing me to do that, and has allowed me this deeper connection with science fiction in general, where that kind of exploration is ongoing. As much as science fiction is about exploring the stars or the depths of the ocean or the depths of time, it's about exploring who we are, our morals, our ethics, and our values, and looking at those things that are beautiful in what we already have as a species, as well as areas where we can continue to grow and develop. Now, in Star Trek, in Babylon 5, and in other science fiction franchises, we have seen various levels of representation for people in the LGBTQ community. And that has become a beautiful thing over time, because it has opened up conversations that maybe would not be able to have been had beforehand. Everybody is going to have their own particular touchstone moment that they may identify with when it comes down to representation. For some, if you go back early enough, it may be the interracial kiss between William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols in the original Star Trek series, third season. This was something that was so controversial that it wound up earning a lot of letters of protest where it did air, and TV stations, particularly in the American South, refusing to air it. Move forward to the 1990s, an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where the where Jadzia Dax reunites with somebody whom the Dax symbiont knew and loved and cared for in a previous host relationship, and people wrote complaints with that. There's a famous letter that's like, I can't believe you showed this filth on TV. And the TV station responded, would you have preferred it if we showed Dax with a phaser carving her up? And the answer to that was yes. There are some people who would prefer that than to have even the appearance of what they hold to be dear to be challenged. For me, my personal favorite moment of representation was a quiet one. In Babylon 5, Susan Ivanova, after the death of Talia Winters, and it's like a season later, in a conversation that's being had among friends, says very simply, I think I love Talia Winters. There was no awkward looks. There was no screwy emotions. There was no real drama to the moment. It was dropped in like it was a part of normal everyday life, that someone would be able to express that they had a love, a care, and compassion for somebody in a way that was true and honest. And I think that that's something that science fiction allows us to have the mirror turned on us. Can we be true and honest and authentic about ourselves? And then those of us who are observing other people's true authenticity, can we do so in a spirit of care, compassion, kindness, and acceptance? Sadly, I don't think we're there yet, but it's something that we can indeed work on day by day. And that's one of the strongest areas, if you ask me, where ongoing representation is important within science fiction, to give a place for people who otherwise would not be seen as equals, as healthy, whatever adjective you want to use to describe them. It gives them a place to be fully seen, fully heard, and challenges those of us who may not be associating in a way that they do, to discover within ourselves how we can manifest openness, acceptance, encouragement, and accompaniment for those individuals in various aspects of our lives. So, that being said, I'm going to return it back over to the Talking SciFive team.
All right, welcome back, everybody, after the break. So Mr. Morningstar stepped out. He's tapping out for the evening. Everybody, I think, actually on the podcast has something of an early start tomorrow, and Chris has a bit of a ride home. So he's on his way home. Glad he could be with us though tonight. So I think what we want to do to wrap up the last little part of the episode is kind of to recap.
And I need more list off the characters.
Oh, that's right, because you have more.
I have so many more.
You have so many more.
I have so many.
Maybe we should do like a bonus content episode where you just rattle off all of the rest of yours.
I can do a full. I'd rather do that to do a full deep dive on them. It's about LGBTQ representation. I gotta give the representation to the people who are there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the allies who want to understand.
I have one character and a final thought. So if you have a lot to go through, Louisa, you probably should go first.
I was like,
I just got one myself.
I have one, and then I'm done.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right.
Am I going? All right. Okay.
The floor is yours.
All right. Well, some of them were already mentioned, but I'm just going to highlight them again. Jaden in Starfleet Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Love Jaden to death. Love the actor. Topa in the Orville.
Yes.
This guy could tell you I cried like a fucking baby.
Again, if you watch that episode and you don't cry, fuck you, you soulless piece of shit.
I will say I want to give this disclaimer for the rest of the characters on my list. These are characters, majority of them are characters that I wish I had, that I'd seen sooner. Because I feel like had I seen them sooner, it would have helped me realize my identity sooner and help me with my journey sooner as well. So the first one that is relatively recent is Will from Stranger Things.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, if you have not caught up in season 5, I will put a timestamp right here so you can skip forward. Will's coming out scene in season 5.
Yes.
Again, he could tell you, I bawled my eyes out because the way he worded everything was exactly, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but like I said, if you're a part of the community, there's always that fear in the back of your mind. What I'm about to say could change how people view me forever.
Yeah.
And how he said it and just how raw the emotions were and everything. Oh my God.
Well, and Will specifically, because that is, I mean, that is, I will be so bold as to say, and I will speak for at least 80% of the community. Dina, you can smack me if I'm wrong too, but, I think that is the ultimate fear.
Yes.
When you come out, is that you look at someone that you have known for years and go, I am not the person you think I am. I am this. Please don't think of me any less. And you are afraid of that. To the point where, when Lee Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen, special shout out. Lee Ferguson and I
have not talk about that night.
Lee and I have been friends since 2014.
Can we circle back to when it's your turn so I can list off all the characters?
We're just doing a natural conversation, and you just want to torpedo it.
All right, fair enough.
Never mind, Lee. I'll get you in a minute.
No, go ahead. What's the night? It's quick enough.
No.
We're on the deck.
Okay,
I was kidding.
Well, now you were kidding.
I was kidding.
Anyway, we were on the deck, and we had been doing some drinking. Surprise, surprise. And I finally was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm coming out. And I told Lee, I think Melissa was there too, Jared was there, and I think even
Brandy.
So there were a few people that I was really nervous about coming out to, including Lee, and I let it open. I was like, yeah, I'm bisexual.
Yeah, didn't Melissa say she cried?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, there was some emotion. What was the response from said Lee?
It was overwhelmingly like, okay, whatever. I still love you. I still care about you. You're still one of my closest friends. I don't care. Be you. And it was.
Is that it?
No, it wasn't it. But the point that I'm making is that for Will's coming out, that is the largest concern for someone freshly coming out.
And not only that, it was this entire circle.
Everybody.
He didn't get the chance to do one-on-one because the stakes were high. He couldn't do the one-on-one. He had to address it to everybody.
Yep.
And
it took him 5 seasons, for God's sake.
It took him fucking 5 seasons. But I mean,
a long time.
I mean, even Noah, the actor who plays Will, has even expressed how playing Will has helped him with his own journey and realizing he is queer.
Yep.
So just that whole coming out scene and how everybody responded. Again, allies, take notes. How they responded, chef's kiss, beautiful. It was just so beautifully done. It was so well worded. And I bawled my eyes out the first time I watched it, because I've been there. I think everybody in the community has felt that fear and has been in that moment. I'm going to quickly list off the Doctor Who ones that I have. I just briefly mentioned Ncuti Gatwa, the relatively recent Doctor, who was the first Black and gay actor to play the Doctor on Doctor Who. I personally don't get the hate he's gotten. I just started watching it. Ian, that's what finally got Ian and Doctor Who. Yep. It's Doctor Who. To me, it's the same thing that you said about Star Trek. It's Doctor Who.
Maybe it puts up the acting.
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And I'm having that same reaction, like, this is Doctor Who. I don't know what the problem is, but he's phenomenal in this. And on top of that, with this newer Doctor Who, we've had a lot more queer representation as well. If I recall her name, just in the second or third episode, the villain was played by drag queen, I'll put the name, drag queen Jinx, and she was fucking phenomenal. But a couple of the Doctor Who references I have are Madame Vastra and Jenny Flint, a lesbian couple that was on screen. This would have been during David Tennant and Matt Smith's time, so late 2000s, early 2010s. So middle school me was seeing that and going, oh, okay, it's chill. Cool. Yep. The entirety of Rocky Horror.
Yes.
The entirety of Rocky Horror, and
which I feel like is a queer rite of passage.
Well, yes, that's a queer rite.
Like a gimme.
And I will say this.
The movie title, it's a gimme.
Right, and I will say this, and this goes to show in my journey. The first time I tried to watch Rocky Horror, I was like 16, I think, and after 15 minutes, I was so closeted and unsure of my own identity where I got scared of it and I turned it off. Wow. And I just couldn't continue. And then when I finally watched it again years later when I was 21, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, it's funny, I'm sorry, but I was in college when Rocky Horror.
Oh my God, yeah.
It wasn't about watching the movie, it was about taking the bag of stuff.
Yes.
In the theater. The rice and the squirt bottles and the toilet paper and the newspaper and the teddy bears and the audience participation and my friend Tim would dress in the corset. It was funny. He was straight as hell, but he was the one that always played Dr. Frankenfooter.
Oh, word.
Nice.
When we went to the theater, and I was so in the closet, I wouldn't even get near that.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hell yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Horror and I go way back.
Oh, love.
When we talk about Rocky Horror, that brings me back to stuff like, the iconic the Baltimore director John Waters. I mean, stuff that he did is
love John Waters.
In the same vein as Rocky Horror. So yeah.
But I mean, like, in reference to my own journey, the first time I tried to watch it, I was so shame-based where I couldn't even look at it. And then years later, when I finally was in that point where I was exploring my identity figure, I was like, oh, yeah, all right, this isn't scary. This is great. A couple more. This one, I'm going to technically say a sci-fi because the show has included elements of sci-fi, and that is Charlie from Supernatural. Very, very, very confident, very vocal, very proud lesbian character. She really threw Dean off like guard when she came out. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, fuck yeah. Loved her. That she definitely helped me in my journey, especially starting out in high school. And then my last one is Ellie from Last of Us.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good one.
Very good one.
Just some heavy hitters towards the end. Good one.
Yep.
Especially Ellie. Fuck yeah.
Oh my God.
Fuck yeah.
Especially for the younger generations as you're starting your journey, Ellie, I think, is a very good character to look at because she is at that age in season 1 where you like start.
Yeah, where you're starting to figure things out, especially as you go back to the flashbacks. And I think that's probably why that character becomes so important in the community. For that reason is because it's not afraid to show the younger side of things.
The start of figuring out your identity.
Yeah, where you're starting to put it all together, you're starting to figure it out. Because for a while in my own sexuality journey, I started to wonder if when I was having the bi-curious thoughts, I was like, well, shit, am I actually gay? Mm-hmm. And, so that went back and forth for probably a solid year. where I was like, am I oh my God, am I just in the closet? Am I not actually interested in women? Am I just trying to tell myself that no, this is what you're interested in because
the
you're really
cycle of questions you have when you're figuring out your identity.
Finally, when it clicked that bisexuality and being bisexual could be a thing, that's when I was like, oh, okay, all right, no, that's it. That's what I am. I'm bisexual. Yeah. Got it. We're good now. But I do think that younger representation, and especially in video games.
Yes.
And I think that that's something we kind of glossed over a little bit, because in video games, you know what target your market is. Mm-hmm. So to have a queer character in a video game is just as important as seeing the representation on TV, in a movie, or wherever, because your younger generation is going to be exposed to that.
Exactly.
It's got the right wingers all fired up.
Oh my God.
We have to have a gay person in freaking video games now.
But I mean, that's another reason why I wanted to point out Ellie, especially, not only just for the queer representation, but the age she is. Mm-hmm. Because she really is at that age where you start to question, your identity. And that's like 100%. Perfect for that. At the very end.
Awareness.
Exactly. At the very end, I do want to circle back to list off other LGBTQ representations outside of Sci-Fi. So for people who are listening who are part of the community who want to see the representation, and for allies who want to better understand, I have other media to list for you, but we can circle back to that at the end.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Lee, who is your last character?
So the last character is kind of you could call it a hypothetical, but it would be Nurse Chapel. Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nurse Chapel had hinted and talked about stories of her past being in a lesbian sexual relationship once or twice. So in Strange New Worlds, she's not, but you still get that vibe like it could go either way for her. And for me, we see so many male gay character relationships in science fiction. Finally, at least it's coming out that they have this in science fiction and in movies, but we see a lot of male relationships. I want to see more female relationships.
Yeah.
I want to see, my hypothetical is I want Nurse Chapel to find a female mate and have that lesbian relationship in the next Strange New Worlds, which we're not getting. But in my mind, I'm already playing out that she met somebody maybe on another ship that transferred to the ship, and they become friends, and suddenly they get this relationship, and that blossoming relationship as she grows and evolves. And it's like, that's what I see for Nurse Chapel. That's kind of what I want to see. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because for me, and I'll end on this, there's a term that a lot of people use when a lot of people say, well, I'm very tolerant of the LGBTQ plus, or I'm very tolerant of, these Asians or African Americans or whatever. I'm tolerant. And to me, in my mind, tolerant means that you accept who they are because you're tolerant. You tolerate them. Acceptance is another term that I really like. And I like more than tolerant, because acceptance in my mind means not only do I accept you, I want to be accepted. Mm-hmm. So it means something different to me when I say acceptance means something different to me. Not only do I accept you for who you are and what you are, but I also want to be accepted. So it means more to me than just I tolerate you or I'm tolerant of something. I don't like the term tolerant.
Tolerant always seems...
Tolerant implies that there's something wrong with
Yes.
it.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's a negative connotation to tolerant, right?
But I will overlook that negativity
100%.
because I'm good enough to do that.
Right.
Yes.
100%.
Says.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well said.
So I'll end on that one.
Will?
So this is a bit of a deep dive, and it might be for some people, but I think, to me, it represents one of the best examples of allyship and how good allyship can be found in anybody if they're willing to be just honest, good, kind people. There was a character in the 2007 movie Stardust by Neil Gaiman named Captain Shakespeare, played by the incomparable Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm. And get the hell out of here. Yes.
He was the captain of a flying pirate ship called the Kapplin. And, to his crew, he was this bloodthirsty pirate, wanting to make people walk the plank. But in truth, he was a cross-dresser. He loved women's clothes. He was openly gay. And there was a scene where, he's dressed up in this beautiful gown like a burlesque dancer. And he's got the fan and he's dancing. And his cabin door opens and his whole crew sees him. And he's mortified because at this point he thinks his legend as a bloodthirsty pirate is absolutely destroyed. And one of the crew members named Skinny comes and sits down and puts his arm around him. He says, "Sorry, Captain, we always knew you was a whoopsie." And they go on being pirates. And it's a perfect example of these people who knew who Shakespeare was and loved and accepted him for who he was because they were a family. And I mean, if a bunch of bloodthirsty, dirty pirates can be accepting, it shows that anybody has the potential to be accepting if they just allow themselves to open their hearts, be a little bit more educated, and regard people for their quality of character rather than their physical or external manifestation.
Agreed.
And maybe they have some deep internal need to be accepted as well for things they're hiding that they can't get out. Like, maybe I like this or I like this hobby, but if I tell my friends, they won't like that. So
how much of it is just projection on their end?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Dina, do you have another character? Last one?
Well, in terms of I watch science fiction, but I'm not a television watcher. So I actually have not seen a lot of the shows you talk about, right? So my latest character I love is Mariner.
Yes.
I mean, she's just unapologetically crazy and who she is, and I love her relationship with the purple girl, whatever, But that's not what I want to... I want to turn you guys on to an author. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's on your end, but on my end, everything's backwards.
Oh, it'll show correctly.
It'll show correctly, yeah.
Okay. KB Wagers, okay? They are an amazing science fiction author.
KB Wagers?
KB Wagers. This is their fourth book. And the first book, my friend gave me this book, and I started reading, and I said, you know what? There's just too much background I need to know. So I went back and I read the first book. It's called A Pale Light in the Black by KB Wagers. Okay. They are so cool. They, in fact, she actually has a glossary of how the characters are referred to: she, her, he, him, they.
Oh, word. Okay.
And the characters, they're all either he, she, or they, just like they are, and it's all natural in the book. Mm-hmm. And they have this bisexuality and all that stuff, and it's all just part of the narrative, like you said. And the science fiction itself is really good. The characters are very engaging, and the action is good. I read the first book, A Pale Light in the Black. I got it on Amazon, Kindle, whatever. And now I'm on the second book. Okay. And I'm going to read all 4 books. It's a very good author. I recommend them highly. And
nice.
It's just very, very refreshing that to have that in a really good science fiction book.
So we're going to stick information of the books up over our heads. That way you guys can see it and check that out, because that's awesome.
Pale Light in the Black.
So
excellent.
The last character that I've got to mention, and I feel like this was the ultimate victory speech for the LGBTQ community, because when this character was first introduced to us in Star Trek, she was supposed to be nothing more than the poster child sexy person on the television. And of course I'm talking about none other than Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9.
Oh yes, 7 of 9.
Because 7 of 9 was in Voyager. Originally, she was a Borg drone. She comes back.
And Rafi, right? Rafi.
Well, yeah, so she has a relationship with Rafi Musiker in Star Trek Picard. So we don't ever really get and again, we don't need one, but we don't ever get a label to what sexuality she is, but we know that she had a relationship with Commander Chakotay when Voyager was wrapping up in the Delta Quadrant. And then we now see in Picard season 2 and 3 that, actually all 3 of the seasons, I think the relationship went around with Rafi Musiker. So we know that 7 of 9 now is queer, but she has had the ultimate, person of strength comeback in Star Trek, because she comes from being, taken and assimilated by the Borg when she was a child to full circle into the captain's chair of the Enterprise.
Yes.
And the development point between A and B to where she captains the Enterprise is incredible. And
make the show, Paramount. Make the damn show.
Yes, agreed. So from a standpoint of watching a now known queer character to take this incredible journey of strength and personal, personal development, and just watching that come to, a fruition, I think gives the best. I don't want to say the best, but it definitely gives a good level of representation for a strong queer character to have gone through a bunch of bullshit to get to where she is now. And I love that. I love that about 7 of 9. I always have loved 7 of 9, but now knowing, again, that she is representing another arm of the community is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I
Gary
love
Ryan's
that.
amazing.
She's fantastic. She's a phenomenal human being. Phenomenal human being.
I just thought of something real quick that slipped under the radar, but I loved it when it happened, was in the DC movie Wonder Woman. She's coming from the island to see the real world for the first time, and she's in the boat with, what's his name?
Oh, yes.
Steve. And they're kind of like talking about canoodling, and she's like, oh yeah, we know all about all the erotic and this and that. And one thing we've learned is that men are not necessary for pleasure.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my god.
Oh,
down goes awesome. Prequel Kirk. Down goes Prequel Kirk.
So you had some other representation real quick.
So yeah, just a quick list of LGBTQ representation in general, because it is still building and not all of it is in sci-fi, obviously. But some highlights that I have are Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. That is both a series on Netflix and it's based off books she wrote. Alice Oseman is a phenomenal author in general. She has written other books like Loveless. Loveless is a phenomenal job giving perspective from anybody in the aromantic and asexual community. So anything written by her, especially Heartstopper, I highly recommend watching or getting the books. The other Netflix show that I want to list off is Sex Education. Not only does it do a much better job at sex ed than most public schools and anything, but has great LGBTQ plus representation in general. Juti Katwa, who plays the most recent Doctor, he plays Eric in Sex Education. If I recall, that was how he got his big start in acting. So definitely recommend Sex Education. Also on Netflix, Big Mouth does a phenomenal job in that. And let's see, what else do I have? I think those are the main ones. I also try to look up other... but in terms of other forms, I cannot recommend Sex Education and Heartstopper any more highly. Those two do the best job I've ever seen. So if you are somebody who is either questioning or part of the community and want to see more representation, I highly recommend those two, especially if you're an ally and want to better understand that perspective. I highly recommend checking out both of those universes.
Yep. Agreed. And
to put a bow on it, Lando Calrissian is pansexual.
Yeah.
Really?
By the writers of Solo and confirmed by Lucasfilm. Donald Glover said it makes sense because he's a spacefaring character that loves, romance and romantic and sexual encounters. Yeah. Billy D. Williams himself expressed disagreement that the decision to label Lando's sexuality was not needed. He preferred the character to remain unconfined by specific labels.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
About Lando.
Fair enough.
Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I can get behind that.
I can see that. Yeah, 100%.
You see it.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up. So hopefully, in this episode, you guys, again, have come to understand that there is more than enough representation and more than enough responsible representation that we have available to the community to show really what...
And it's still growing.
It is. It is still growing. But to understand how important it is now, especially. And I won't get, too much into shit on this because we're not going political. But it's incredibly important.
It is.
And, nowadays, especially when, you turn around and there is every reason in the book to stay in the closet, hidden away, don't do it. Don't do it. The other thing that I'm going to point out is, and I think that this is equally important, if, for whatever reason, any member of this community is watching this and you are in crisis, I think we should attach some crisis information to this episode.
Yes.
Just to be on the safe side. Yep. But, again, this is why we do this. This is why we have a Pride Month. It's important. So
Talking Sci-Fi is a safe space for you.
Yes. Any one of these lovely people here. Lovely people here. Safe space.
By the way, the Pride Festival for Hanover is tomorrow.
Oh, damn it.
It usually happens right out back of my house in a giant field that me and Ian and everybody used to watch year after year as they do the runway and do karaoke and drag, and it's pretty fucking
I'll just come over after my Hershey audition. It's fine.
Absolutely awesome.
I'll just I may swing by after my audition.
If Ian's at work, Louisa, just come over. Just come over at around 2 o'clock. I got to work a little bit myself tomorrow. Just come over at 2.
Bet. Okay.
Oh, boy. All right. Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up. Louisa Davis, Mr. Lee Ferguson, Mr. Will Barton, Dina, live long and prosper.
Alonzi.
My last name is Arzapalo, by the way.
Arzapalo. May the force be with you, Dina, and everybody else in the universe.
Guys, it was fun. I'm glad I was part of it.
Glad you could come on with us, Dina.
Awesome. Great episode.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.